Growth Pod is brought to you by Genero, a leading growth agency in the Nordics. We interview marketing experts, business leaders, and entrepreneurs to uncover the stories and strategies behind profitable growth.
So to everyone who's listening to this is a first. This is Genero's first live recording of a podcast. We're doing this at a Genero customer event in Jakobstad. And with me I have a very exciting guest, Erna Rusi of Saxdor. So we're here to talk about Saxdor and the incredible growth journey that you are on. But before we get there, could you please briefly talk about your background and how you ended up where you are today?
Sure. Yeah, my background is not from boating. So this is my first assignment in this industry. I'm not a boater. I've never boated in my life. Probably got seasick when I ever stepped a foot on a boat before this. But I was not hired to be the boating expert. I was hired to lead a company and do other things. So yeah, I'm not a boater. My background is actually from telco industry. My career, 20 years almost in Telia, Sonera, Telia, whichever one, and done several business initiatives there. Been leading brand and marketing, sales, different business unit, B2B, everything you can think of. And then it was time to move forward. And here I am, 3 years now, and loving it.
I'm always really curious what the first, call it 90 days or first 6 months are like as a CEO, and especially coming into a completely new industry and such a fast growing company. So what was that like first stepping into the role as CEO?
You left out one obvious point, being a woman in a very traditional industry where every other person nearly is a man. However, yeah, the first, welcoming was warm, but as we have our production in Poland with very, very, even if I would say more traditional business culture than the Finnish one, it took some time for them to really think that this woman is here to actually lead the company. What does she know about boats? And the answer is that I don't know about boats, and I'm not here to teach you about boats. So to gain that trust in those first few days, few months, that was the big hurdle. And but I think we're still people. You talk to people and people perceive you, and you start from a relationship, and then everything works after that. So that was the biggest hurdle in the beginning.
Okay, really interesting. So when you came 3 years ago, Saxdor was already growing really fast. And to my mind, when you have such incredible growth, it's not accidental. Usually there's like an insight behind it that drives the product strategy, or there's a market gap that you've identified. So what was the kind of insight behind Saxdor?
To talk about Saxdor, you have to talk about Sakari Mattila, who is the founder of Saxdor. For those of you who probably don't know so much about boating branches and boating brands, Sakari is this is his fifth company. I call him the Steve Jobs of boating. He's an innovator. He's incredible powerhouse when it comes to ideas. And Sakari has started his career in the 90s with Aquador. Then he did Paragon. Then he founded EXO together with Erkki Talvela. Then he founded Axopar, and then he founded Saxdor. So Sakari he's the kind of person that never stops. He's 72 and he probably works more than all of us put together. Insane. And so Sakari has this creative vision. He's the visionary. So this is all based on his vision of the kind of boating fleet that he thinks the market needs. And in a little while, I'll tell you more about our fleet, but it all starts from Sakke. When I joined the company 3 years ago, our first year, we are just 4.5 years old, I must remind. So we first did 4 million in the first year. And then second year, which was the 21, we did 19 million in revenue. And now this year, we're going to exceed 100. We're going to do about 106. So yeah, it's a hockey stick. We're growing fast.
Two questions. Were you at any point kind of going to what Jonathan talked about earlier with demand capture and demand generation? Was it always just kind of trying to catch the existing demand, or did you also have to go out and create demand?
That is an excellent question. I would start by saying that at this moment in time, we have clearly been able to create a brand that we have about 3 times more the demand than what we can produce. So we are sold out constantly. And this has been the case more or less the last 2 years, even before then, but our fleet was smaller, so it's not so fair to compare. However, I would say that the demand has been created. It's a sum of many things. It's of course the product itself. It's the great concept that Sakari has been able to create. And to ask if we have needed to create the demand, I would say no, but we have created the kind of product that we have clearly hit a sweet spot in the market. Something that we have brought something hip and trendy to the industry, and we have practically renewed the boating, that segment of boating. The weekender, the sort of a pleasure boating in this category. We're dominating. We're the fastest growing boat brand globally, and it's pretty insane when you say it out loud.
Yeah, that's really insane. I'm not very familiar with the boating industry, but I can imagine that a lot of people, it has deep roots in Finland, in this region.
Absolutely.
And I can imagine that very few people knew that something like this was possible to do in Finland. So obviously being then sold out constantly, that's a good problem to have. I think a lot of us here would like to have that problem more often, but it's a problem. A lot of challenges come with that rapid growth. So what have been some of the biggest challenges, and how have you overcome them going to 100 million in just a few years?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Scaling up production in the manufacturing industry, which is very, labor focused. So it's very much handcraft work. We don't use robots. It's about skill. So finding the workers is one thing. Finding the square meters, finding the production space, creating that production space, organizing it, keeping the cost down at the same time when you need to accelerate. All of these things put together make it a nice little puzzle. What we did was 2022 early, as soon as I had practically joined the company, we activated the plan of building our own facility, and we built that 10,000 square meters in Elk. We built it from scratch, and we built it for our production. So it's suitable for us. We didn't have to accommodate. And at that time, we thought this was going to last us a few years. Obviously, didn't. It's already small, and we have to. That's why we have to find ways to outsource certain functions in Poland, which we're doing. But also that's why we then extended to Larsmo. This is not a replacement of Polish production, like some of the newspapers might have written that we transferred production here. No, we extended. So this is growth for our square meters and production. But to talk about challenges, due to the COVID times, due to supply chain issues, in 2022, we found ourselves in a situation that there was no engines. And when you sell in motorboats, it's a problem. So there were major troubles to tackle, and keeping the dealers and the clients to have faith, even when you can't deliver the product. People have paid down payments. We always build to order, so we don't build product on the shelf. So all our boats that we build are always customer sold, or the dealer has bought them, and then we'll sell it to the end client. So to keep that trust in a new company, you really had to work and keep the faith in the dealers and have them believe in you that you will survive and you will come out of this. and you will deliver, because obviously they thought, hey, who is these guys? Suddenly there's no product, we have all this money down paid, and there's no product coming out. But it helped that it was a global crisis, so it wasn't only us. But luckily we managed to handle the pressure and keep the relationship and strengthen and gain the trust of the market, and started to deliver accordingly and got out of it.
I think that's one thing you don't see when you, from the outside, you just see the curves going up. You don't see all the challenges and bottlenecks that you had to face.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that's pretty remarkable when you look at the numbers is not just the rapid growth, but the very minimal losses. I mean, I think one small loss in 2020 and then small profit.
Yeah.
So could you talk about, I mean, to me that speaks of financial discipline and maybe also something you've done really well with the business model. So can you talk about how you've been able to be so capital efficient?
Thank you. Yeah, I think I touched base in my last answer about we don't build stock boats. So our business model is such that the customers pay up front. So there's a reservation fee for the production slot. It's a modest fee, but 5,000 to 10,000 euros depending on the model, but it's to sign the production slot. So then, you know, there's a down payment 12 weeks prior to start of the production. So then we get to 25% on top of that. So then, you know, we don't build everything on ourselves. And that has helped obviously to keep the wheels turning, because then when you have a brand that is, you know, we have created such a demand, we get people, I'm not exaggerating, we have such demand on one of our models, the Saxdor 400, that our dealers are practically sending money in. We're saying we don't have more boats. They're like, take the down payment. Now we're like, we can't take your money. We don't have slots for you to give. So we have created a very successful business model where we keep the cash flow steady and don't take all the production cost on us. But this is not to say that it hasn't been challenging. There has been times when it has been really, really tight to do this. But we are at the same time, we are in the volume business. So our profit doesn't come so much per unit, but it comes from the volume. So our pricing is very aggressive. It's good enough, but it's still very aggressive. And the strategy always was to enter the market to be the disruptive brand and really, you know, challenge the status quo. And that part of that was aggressive pricing. So all in all, yes, cash flow is always a challenge, but we have been able to be disciplined. We haven't increased our headquarters and the relation between direct and indirect workers. We have kept it very, very tight always. So the production floor people grow, but the office people don't. So, yeah.
You just become more efficient than at headquarters, and exactly, that's good. Lots of good points there. This rapid growth means rapid growth in headcount, as you kind of alluded to, production staff.
Yeah.
You're now at maybe 600 employees.
Yeah.
So over 600 employees. Could you talk a little bit about the strategies for finding, recruiting, retaining, or training and retaining talent, and how you've I'm guessing the organizational model has changed maybe multiple times. So how do you deal with all of that?
Thank you. Yeah, well, because of my background from Telia, is very different than the boating industry is used to. So I'm a firm believer in working in some kind of matrix and small teams and cross-functional teams, you know, creating mini projects around different topics and working together. And from the very get-go, my strategy was that one of my slogans is one team, one company. So I wanted to shorten the bridge between Finland and Poland, which was very, very much, very deep. When I first started, Polish people felt that, we are the company, and the Finnish people felt like, they're just a shipyard. So, it was about bringing the people together, working as one team, one company for the common goal. That's one thing. So you build the team, and you have to. One of my philosophies is that I don't work with assholes. So I don't deal with dickheads. All of those, they need to go. Because it's just poison. It's poison to the teamwork. I believe we heard in our previous talks about Snellman mentioning how important it is to laugh at work and to have a good time. I'm a firm believer in having fun at work. You gotta love what you do. You need passionate people, and that's why it's really critical what kind of team you really build, and that then makes people stay. When you have a good time, even through tough times, even through crazy amount of problems that we face almost daily because we are so such fast-paced company. If you have a good team and good relationship, you can talk about stuff and you can tackle problems together. It's I would say it's exceeds the so-called hard substance talent by miles. That's one thing. Another thing, of course, then we have also created Saxdor Academy in Poland. So we are recruiting people. It's kind of like a degree that you get, not even a kind of like, excuse me, it is a degree that the young guys get as boat builders. So it's a 3-year course that they take with Saxdor, and then they get the training with our company, and they are promised also the jobs afterwards. We also train our existing labor force with the same program. And I must mention that the Polish government and Elk City, they are now investing in even a higher evolution of the academy, bringing new technology of boat building into the region. So we are really happy about that. That's going to help us keep up the culture and the profession of boat building in the region.
Yeah, I mean, what you mentioned there about the team and having a place where everyone is having fun, and I mean, even the most boring tasks or the most challenging times can become really enjoyable. And I mean, that's been my experience. That's like the thing that keeps you motivated is working with really great people.
Yeah.
Okay. What in terms of your background is marketing and brand, and like you said, the product, the design has been the driving success. But you now as a CEO, like what are the metrics that you pay attention to, maybe qualitative or quantitative, to make sure that Saxdor, the brand, is going in the right direction, and you're getting the right type of brand awareness as well?
Well, on the financial side, obviously, when you're a startup and the growth is this excessive, it's now time to focus on the profitability. So we need to get more efficient. We need to get at least cut the low-hanging fruits. We need to make our production more efficient, and probably we're gonna open a second shift and things like that. So efficiency in the production and in a company culture is one thing that I'm looking into. But then when you look at the markets and you look at our brand position, demand we have to be all the time really on the pulse of the demand. So we follow tightly with our dealers globally on all the regions, any sort of weak signals about their orders drying up or their floor traffic cutting down, or we have some online tools that you can build your boat. We follow the metrics globally, that where are we getting the sort of early signals that somebody is interested by checking to how to build the boat. So we keep our finger on the pulse of the market, and really at the same time, I'm a strong believer, obviously, in brand building, and I think that where I want to see Saxdor in 5 to 10 years is really being the most loved brand in the industry. We have managed to create something cool, something that people love, something that people are passionate about. And that's brand. It's not comparing boat feature by feature, the engine, the speed, the consumption, the square meters. It's something more than that. We have hit the sweet spot. We are now the hip and trendy boat brand. And that gives us the platform for the future. We have captured the audience, the younger audience especially, and because people don't want to have the same boat that their father and their grandpa had. Come on, would you dress in the same clothes that your grandpa wore? Maybe, but not every day. So you want to have something different. So we have found a way to talk to the new kind of boaters, and it's that's where the trend is. That's where the demand is coming from.
Okay, and I guess your biggest markets are those in North America and kind of the Middle East, or where, or you're selling all around the world?
Yeah, our markets are global. Our aim is to build three equally strong markets. US, Asia, and Europe need to be equally strong. It's not the case yet. Europe, we started first here, so we are stronger in Europe than we are in Asia and the US, but they are both growing drastically. Middle East and all of these sort of few more exotic markets. Brazil is just opening up and things like that. So we still have quite a lot of ground to cover. But it's about 30% on each, and then the rest of the globe. Our share in Finland, what we sell to Finland, is about 1% of our production. So we're not really here to sell a huge amount of boats. We want to build the brand here, and we are a Finnish company, and we're proud of it. But for us to be here with our production is more about matching the needs. And I now went into the Larsmo conversation. You didn't even ask. Can I?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Okay, I'm on the road now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we opened the Larsmo. Basically, we thought that it will be a great thing for a Finnish company, first of all, to produce boats also in Finland. Finland has great craftsmanship and skill in boat building, and we wanted to take advantage of that. And Larsmo, as an area, has such deep rooting in the boating industry that the workforce is very skillful. So it was a win-win. It was ready facility. Baltic moved out. They have been there for years. They moved out to new facilities, and then suddenly the place came available and the workforce was there, and we needed more production. So that's how we came to Larsmo then.
And it was, I guess a lot of people were positively surprised to hear the news. Just going to talk about the global markets. I think that must be really exciting with you as a marketing background or brand background to now be building a global brand. Telia is big, but it's not global. So you're working across all these different markets. Any kind of challenges or lessons learned now that you're kind of building this global brand?
I have to think for a minute. We've been so busy building boats that we're just doing stuff. We haven't really had a clear brand book. But let's put it this way: we have just recently now found our identity, our true brand identity, who we are and who customers say we are. Like we were just talked about here, that it really is about what the world says about you. You can't decide it yourself, but. It's exciting, obviously, and we try to stay on the sort of high brand level, and then our dealers handle the actual sales leads and the local floor traffic type of marketing and events. But it is our job to keep the brand preference, keep the brand awareness high and create the brand preference. And that's what we need to do. And we need to support our dealers on the sort of top of the funnel. But let's put it this way, that I think that people are still people. I can't say that it wouldn't work. It kind of just works everywhere, because people, when you get the momentum and when you get the ball rolling, then it's kind of like it's a movement. And it seems to work just as well in Japan as it does in Dubai or Greece or UK. We're getting clients all over the world who just simply love our brand. So, yeah.
And great design is great design. I think that's appreciated everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of like the sales aspect and keeping kind of pulse on the market, you decided, was it end of last year, to kind of insource the domestic sales operations, so sales in Finland. Obviously, like you said, it's a very small part of the total. So I'm guessing this is an experiment to kind of try something new. So any kind of insights or from that experiment that you could share?
Yeah, I think it keeps us humble. Now we gotta eat our own dog food. It means that, we got to be able to serve the clients. We got to be able to prepare the boats. We're learning more about our product. We're getting our hands dirty, literally. Our guys are driving the boats to deliver them to the clients. And we get to really spend time with the clients, and it's really, really valuable for us. So I would say that's the biggest lesson we are learning. Some things look good on paper, and then in real life you realize, like, oh my goodness, we have done this backwards. The customers do not appreciate what we're trying to do. We need to rewind. So these are the kind of little learnings that we're learning already after the first season, and this is very valuable to us. Then we implemented it worldwide, the lessons that we get from here.
So it sounds like you're also trying to disrupt or innovate, not just the boats, but also maybe the business models. We'll see. I mean, Tesla did it with cars. I don't think anyone thought that you could buy a car online by clicking a few clicks, but apparently it's possible. Yeah. You also launched a My Saxdor app, or is it? I should know this. Is it launched or is it? It is launched. Okay. So what's the idea there? Does that go kind of hand in hand with what you talked about with kind of building a whole platform?
Yeah, we just launched it in Cannes, and we're just waiting for app stores to put it up.
Yeah.
It takes a moment for them to approve, but we just launched it in Cannes Boat Show. What we want to create is we want to create a community, obviously, but also communication between the brand and the end customer. We don't want to just be manufacturer. We want the people to engage with Saxdor brand, and we want to elevate the brand experience and the user experience of the boat. As I mentioned earlier, boat business is very traditional. So to have something cool, like you can track your journeys, and you can turn your lights on remotely, you can see all your data. You can share your routes, what you did, enhance it with pictures. You have your maintenance checkup list, so you don't have to read paper manuals. You have everything in the app that it says, like, hey, maybe you need to service this and this. So it's a lot more of a full sort of 360 view of how you use the boat. And I can't stress enough the communication importance with the end client. So that is definitely something we want to create. We don't want to be left behind the dealers only, because we understand the dealers. Their business is to sell boats. So when it comes time to the second-hand market, the dealers might have switched, or the boat might have switched regions. So they need to have something that they can hold on to, and we want to offer them the path directly to us. Then we can cater them to the next dealership who will help the customer. And it's about brand loyalty. Then we believe that the philosophy is also to keep them loyal to the brand and keep them buying Saxdors.
I think that's such a good point, because I feel like a lot of companies they're focused on getting their product out the door, getting paid, and then they don't necessarily recognize that even though the customer bought from a dealer, I mean, they still bought a Saxdor, so they still, their experience is going to influence how they think of Saxdor. And so taking responsibility and kind of creating real customer loyalty, I think that can have a huge upside. You mentioned Larsmo site, and that's production facility, and now maybe the first boat has been rolled off the production lines, 400 series, or so what are the plans? How has it been in Larsmo, and what are the plans here for the future?
It's been a good start. We have about approximately 20 people working now in the production, and we're going to grow that step by step towards the 100, about 100 people in production. And we're doing Saxdor 400s there, so we're doing just one model. But the whole idea, as it is the facility after Baltic, that it is a huge hall. They've made like 160-meter vessels there, so crazy size boats. So we will definitely do our biggest models in Finland. That is our plan. And Larsmo has been a very, very good start. We have good people. We have expertise. among the people. The culture is different. So, when I'm there and I'm trying to get people to react and they're just sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, they don't like me at all. And then they're like, oh, don't worry, if they laugh once, they like you. I'm like, oh, okay, good. So it's a lesson to be learned. But we're getting along and people are good. And first boat is just about ready and boats 2, 3, 4 in production hall. So we're rolling. We're going into the serial production.
That's really awesome. And will Erasmus also serve as a R&D kind of facility? Did I remember reading that somewhere?
Yes, at least it's a sounding board to our R&D. Yeah, so definitely it's a great way to have now 2 places. So we can build the proto in half and half, Poland and half in Larsmo. So, they can work together and contribute, and maybe we can find new production methods that we haven't thought about and increase again our efficiency and quality. Yes.
And speaking of R&D and innovation, I saw when you were listening, when Jurtan was talking, you were nodding along when he was talking about innovation and the importance of letting those random bees fly randomly. So how are you managing innovation at Saxdor? Because I could imagine that, you've got this concept that really works, and so you could, like you said, 3 times more demand, so you could easily grow for years and years and years. So how do you kind of get the organization to keep them on their toes and keep building new things, the next things that's going to take Saxdor then to $1 billion in revenue?
I'm very fortunate because I have Sakari Mattila. I'm not short of innovation. I'm actually the contrary. I'm trying to stop him from bringing more stuff because we gotta get something done first before we move forward. So Sakari has plans probably for next, 10, 20 years in his drawers. So we don't have that issue. But the question is still a very valid question, is how to time it. What is the right time to bring new stuff out? And I'm serious when I'm saying that I have to constrain Sakari because he's an innovator. He wants to bring out stuff all the time. And I'm all the time stopping him and saying, no, we're not going to, not now, not yet. And how to maximize the lifespan of one model. When is the time to renew it? So that you don't sort of clip it short, but that you do it exactly the right time. That's the challenge with us. So not the lack of innovation, luckily.
It's a good problem, but still a problem, or something that needs to be managed.
Yeah.
And speaking of decision making, we talked about this very briefly off air, and the importance of speed in both action and decision making. I mean, if you're going to grow, you need to be quick. But you need to make good decisions with limited information. It's not enough to be fast, you need to make correct decisions. Yeah. So how do you do it personally, and how do you make sure that Saxdor does it as an organization as you're trying to move incredibly fast?
Well, first of all, I think it's a matter of personality. I think you need to be crazy enough to be in this position, and you gotta have some cojones that you can, take the decisions with 70% knowledge and 100% result. If you're going to wait for the 100% before you take a decision, then anybody can take that decision. So leaders got to be leaders. And I think that, of course, you can't go crazy. You have to manage risks. But you just have to create the kind of atmosphere like, nothing so bad can come, that let's just do it. Let's see how it goes. And, you have to push the team also to be bold and to be able to take the decisions quickly, because otherwise you'll never decide. And then the time is already gone. So you just have to create that kind of culture. And I think it starts from the leadership. It starts from the team. It starts from the leader. And you gotta be energetic if you want to be in this kind of growth business. You gotta drive the troops from the front. And you got to show them the way that, hey, nothing bad happens. If we make a mistake, okay, then we make a mistake. We fix it, So it's not the end of the world. So that's the kind of culture that needs to take place for this kind of growth to happen so fast.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe a final question here to wrap things up. But what's been kind of the best and the worst thing about your 3 years as a Saxdor CEO? Any kind of things, highlights or down, whatever the opposite of highlights is, that stand out?
I think that it's a constant battle of trying to run a 100-meter race as fast as you can and at the same time plan for the marathon. That's what I do daily, and that's what my team does daily, and I'm sure you guys recognize this. This is the biggest challenge, and how to make sure that you keep that helicopter view and don't get tangled up always in the daily problems, because there are so many. So I think that's the upside, but then that's the downside, but then again it's also the upside. I'm very sort of solution-oriented person, so I get my kicks out of solving stuff. So I like to be involved in solving situations, so it keeps me feeling alive, that we can sort stuff out and we can do things. So I think that's also, it's the same coin, two sides to it. So the fast pace, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's the best thing ever.
I like the 100-meter sprint marathon analogy. I think a lot of people here can relate. Okay, final question. As we saw before we started, there's a lot of potential Saxdor customers here. So which model should they get?
I think the best boat that we have at the two models for Finland. I think the best boat for Finland is our new 340 walkaround, which is a cabin boat, 34-foot long boat, and fantastic drivability, opening side terraces. So that's a great boat for Finland, weatherproof, all-weather machine. And that is a beauty. Of course, the Saxdor 400, our gem, and we call it the private island. It's all you need. It's really, really great socializing and just hanging out with your friends and family. So I would recommend both of those.
It's been, well, first of all, Erna, thank you so much for coming. It's going to be really incredibly exciting to follow Saxdor and your journey in the years ahead. I'm guessing you have a lot of interesting things in the pipeline, so it's going to be really exciting. So best of luck. Thanks again. And everyone give an applause for Erna.
Thank you for listening. You can find all episodes of The Growth Pod on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.